Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Profiling Evil by Mike King. It's nice to slip in a little bit of time on a Thursday afternoon with each of you. And while folks are pouring in, I'll just shout out to a few folks. Again, I'm trying to get better at this going live stuff and just chatting with you. I'm doing it without the back office, so it's always risky for me, and I appreciate it. But to Lynn Mertz, hello back. It's nice to see you. Kathleen Harrigal, thank you for showing up, folks. Gosh, it's nice to see you all. Bonnie Gehring, firing in a note from Ohio. Dwayne Welch, hello. Nine Girl, great to see you. Thank you. Maui Swift, thanks for jumping on. Gem Cat, I'm doing well. Thank you. And I hope you are doing well. Terry Jokamaki from Michigan, great to have you join in. And Cammie Johnson, thanks. I'm so glad you found the show. It's great to have you on board and with us here. Hillary Brown, I think you were like the first person up and on today. So thanks so much for doing that. And Adam George, again, criminally exposed. Great to see you. It has been kind of an interesting day, and I thought I would just take a few minutes and visit with you. And we don't do it enough, but I wanted to just spend some time and chat with you as well, maybe answer questions that you might have. I went and got my first COVID shot today, so in 3 weeks I'll be fully vaccinated, I hope, and ready to actually do a little running around. I've been working with Jared over at Adventures with Purpose, and we're going to actually meet at a location in April sometime. So it was timely that the health department finally called and said they could get us in for our shot. Eric Clabo, I don't know what the last part is, but how are you? Thank you so much. Alicia R., Wendy Henschel. Really good to see you all. And I can't believe, so many of you are jumping on. But it's really, really great to spend a minute with you. I want to thank all of you for all of your support. It is really meaningful, and I hope you have enjoyed the content the way we've been laying it out. I wanted to just take a minute today and talk about some news that's popping in that I think is pretty intriguing, and so I want to start off with some news. Andrea reached out, one of the Profiling Evil family, and I don't want to say last names, but Andrea, you know who you are, and thank you so much, saying that she had noticed that the Morphew property has been sold. And in fact, if you look on Redfin or Zillow or a few others, it shows that Suzanne's property, I'm going to call it Suzanne's property, at 19057 Puma Path was sold yesterday for $1.625 million. So it was substantially lower than the asking price, which happens anyway. But it says that it sold yesterday. Now, this is really interesting because I don't really know what sold means. Sometimes things can happen. Websites can be spoofed. And so what sold means on the websites, if one picks it up, others will pick it up. It's not necessarily an indication that it's accurate. It's not really accurate either as to whether it is sold and completed, or if it's under contract. If they did sell it, is it just the fact that somebody has said, here's some earnest money and they're waiting for loans to be approved? Or is this thing completely done? And the thing that has me troubled about that is quick research into the county assessor's office shows that nothing is recorded. So again, I mean, just frankly don't know. how much validity there is to this, but it brings up some interesting questions. And if you had a chance before to listen to when I had on a few attorneys from Colorado, primarily Dave and Patty, you go back, if you look in the Profiling Evil list of videos, you're going to see a video talking about 501c3s and conservatorships, because there was question about whether that home could be moved into a conservatorship and that money taken away, or if the 7-year requirement that money would have to go into escrow and be held while they try to sort out if Suzanne is alive or not happens. To this point, I don't think Suzanne has been declared legally dead yet, although the family has been successful in getting conservatorship in Indiana, but that doesn't necessarily transfer to the state of Colorado. So again, I'm out of my league here, and we might tomorrow jump on for a few minutes and talk a little bit more about this if the lawyers are available. But that conservatorship just doesn't automatically transfer to Colorado, and because there's a conservatorship in Indiana, wouldn't make that alive and functioning in Colorado. So the hope is that money is protected while some of these things are sorted out. So first piece of business I wanted to chat about. Louisiana Girl says it would be recorded in the assessor's office, and I agree with you, Louisiana Girl. The challenge becomes, has it been, and it just hasn't made it through the system yet. So again, that's really interesting. I have really tried hard on this channel not to just chase story names like Morphew or B.O.L.O or others, because they get lots of people's attention and lots of clicks. And I don't want to ever be accused of regurgitating the same kind of information, but I would invite you to just please go back and look at some of those previous videos that we've done, because I think it's really clear what my concerns are in this case. Mimi J2 is asking a question about, let's see here, can someone be declared dead if there are suspicious circumstances? That's really interesting. If there are suspicious circumstances, like in this case, you still can say they're dead if after a while they have not been located. And legally, sometimes that is really important for families to be able to do that so that they can take care of estates and other kinds of things. Doesn't change the fact that somebody who is a suspect could be held accountable for what's going on, especially if a case is developed. So this is going to be interesting to see. And so Mimi J2, seeing your name kind of made me want to answer that real quick before I forget it. But the important thing I guess I was trying to say is, I hope that you come to trust me that when I talk about something, I think it's kind of new information. And this obviously was new information. And there will be times when perhaps I'll go back and revisit things, but I'll probably, in most cases, just point you back to earlier videos rather than regurgitate the same kind of information. Well, let me look at a couple of notes here before we, or a couple of your messages before we go on any further. Southern Sass, great to see you. The question she brings up is I can't comprehend how Barry's selling things. It's really interesting. I guess this really is a reflection of our own personal value systems and what we would do. It's not even a year yet until Suzanne's disappeared. And this was something we experienced a lot of times with criminals, where if you think back when you were a child, and I think back when we were kids and we were playing Army or something, if something didn't go right, if the narrative didn't end up the way we had fantasized, we would yell out, "Hey, do-overs," and it kind of like wash our hands and start over and see if we can make it better. And we see this sometimes when people try to get rid of all of the past. We see it with families when a child's abducted and never comes home, and the couple who were loving and yoked together can't hold it together. They break up and divorce. Sometimes just emotionally, people need to separate from some of that stuff. The challenge becomes, in our minds, we want to say, yeah, but wouldn't we want this person to know that that home is still there and waiting for them and everything else? But again, we're not going to speculate about that. Let me look here. And there've been a lot of discussions, excuse me, about a possible girlfriend in Barry's life. You can look into that, and I'm just not ready to get down in the mire about that. And we'll just kind of pass on that one today. You can find out all kinds of stuff, I guess, on that. Melissa Spry, thanks. Hello back to you. Charlotte D, hello. Just Britt, great to see all of you. And I'm so grateful that you would jump on. I want to say too, I'm really grateful for the way in which many of you have jumped on and signed up for the Profiling Evil podcast. So any of your favorite podcast platforms, you can get Profiling Evil. And I have been blown away with my new podcast, Mapping Evil. In fact, I don't know if any of you are interested, but let's we'll just pull something up right here. Let's see. If you just type in mappingevil.com, it will take you to Australia's site where you can get all of the cool information on mappingevil.com. And the only reason I'm saying this is because I've been blown away with how many downloads. This jumped in 24 hours to number 8 in Australia in podcasts downloads. So really gratifying to see that. It's with Tori Shepard, who you would have met on choir practice Monday night. And hopefully it's something that you think is worthwhile. But thank you for those of you who have downloaded and subscribed to Profiling Evil and to Mapping Evil on your favorite podcast platform. Really just blows me away. And I hope that you're finding that they're fun and valuable. We have taken many of those podcasts on Profiling Evil podcasts, and we've also rebroadcast those through our channel for our channel members first. So if you've ever thought about getting a channel membership, channel members get those podcasts 2 or 3 days before anyone else does, and along with other content, and of course the ability to have the monthly meeting with me where we can jump on calls together and talk and stuff like that. So this is kind of creeping me out right now. I'm seeing that there are 666 people online, and so we gotta move that dial and get it off that number, because I'm kind of superstitious at times. So, there, thanks. We did. Anyway, Mary Swample, hello. Crystal, Carrie Wally, great just to see you all here. And again, thank you so much for your support. Now, the other thing that I wanted to chat about is first, just a reminder to you that you can go to profilingevil.com, and there you can grab under the tab story maps, all of the different story maps. And I just wanted to pop up and remind you that as we look at the Suzanne Mormon Morphew case, there's a great story map there. If you haven't gone to it, it covers this case from day one through to today. It includes maps and graphs and interactive kinds of things like you're seeing here. It gives you everything that's happened with every press release by the sheriff's office. These tabs here give you the ability to go in and look at things like the big search that was conducted by Andy Mormon and his family, and the breakdown of what happened on that particular search. It includes some really nice maps where you can explore things. Because, as you know, I love maps. It talks about things like understanding how information is tracked by cellular towers and mobile device locations. And so go there, check that out, and hopefully you'll find that to be beneficial to you as you explore the Suzanne Morphew case. But then I wanted to move on. And before I leave my little discussion about mapping evil, I wanted to also let you know that there's also now a story map that follows the 9 episodes of Mapping Evil. And in that, you can go in and let's see, I think I grabbed the wrong one there. Let me just kill that. And there is a Mapping Evil story map called The Root of All Evil. And so you can see that now on the screen. Root of All the Evil is, again, about this Mapping Evil series, and it gives you information on where you can subscribe. It has a breakdown of what Mapping Evil is intended to do. Then it goes into, talks about my co-host there, Tori Shepard, who is an award-winning journalist out of Australia. And then it goes into each individual episode. And this is kind of a living document. So we start out with Robert Ben Rhodes and where all of his murders occurred across the United States, where his victims were from, his trucking logs. And this is an interactive map where you can go in, you can look at things in detail. You can interact with the Australian Mapping Evil website, where you can see all kinds of cool things on that site to participate. You can get the story map for the Flinders Highway, which is the Australian equivalent to the story in episode 1 that we're talking about in the United States, and just kind of follow through how we're doing things. Next week on Monday, every Monday for the next 9 weeks, a new series or a new episode will come out. And that particular one next week will be on cults. Then we go into elder crimes. And of course, you can see the others as we go through. So hopefully you'll check that out as well as the others when you're looking online. So hopefully that is kind of informative. Now, let me just look and see again what people maybe are talking about and see if I can answer some questions here. Fuzzy Doxy asks, I wonder what he did with her clothes and all of her other belongings. Those are always interesting behaviorally to see how quickly people make those kinds of changes in their lifestyles. Cheated No More brings up a great point. A new truck was purchased pretty quickly afterward. Lots of interesting things in this particular case. And again, you can go back and check those out. Southern Sass is asking, what about legally, Mike? I don't know really what you're asking, Southern Sass, so I don't know how to answer that. But there are a couple of hurdles that would need to be accomplished. One is that on a missing person in Colorado, my understanding of the law is that there's a 7-year moratorium before that money can be taken and expended unless somehow the conservatorship is granted. There is a conservatorship in Indiana, but not in Colorado. It doesn't naturally and automatically transfer over, so there's still some legal maneuvering to go on, and so that's the hope, is that the courts are remaining very involved in decisions that are going on in there. Charlotte D, thank you so much for that really kind note. I hope that is truly the case. Kathy Purdue can the family have a lawsuit after things calm down? Well, you know what, Kathy, I think that's really an interesting question. And it will be interesting to see. There is a heavier burden of proof placed on the criminal justice system to find somebody responsible. And we're going to talk about Dante Lucas in a moment, and this circumstantial case in the disappearance and murder of Kelsey Schelling. A circumstantial case. That is a heavy burden to get someone to beyond a reasonable doubt. That same standard does not exist in civil cases, and so the civil case is much easier to win a judgment on. And I think it will be interesting down the road to see if the Mormon family, for instance, ever brings any kind of charges for something in the civil suit, death of Suzanne, which I think is safe to assume at this point that that's probably the case. So let's see. You know what, Diane Wilson, you are saying something here that I have said many times, and that is sometimes the bad guys win. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in this case. I still have great hopes that this new DA is going to make a big difference in this case. I've had some conversation with the DA, and I really do have confidence in Linda Stanley. I think that we're going to see some things shake out. I also think the sheriff is trying, and his investigators are trying everything they possibly can. But without a body, these become difficult cases. And so it's interesting because I don't know what evidence they have, nor do many of you, but maybe some of you do out there. It will be really interesting to see how this unfolds. Okay, let's look here. Let's see. Oh, if one of the mods could post a link to the podcast, Angela G. All you need to do is go to your favorite podcast platform. Doesn't matter whether it's Spotify or Apple or Google, any of those, and then you put in Profiling Evil. That will take you to the Profiling Evil series of podcasts, or Mapping Evil, and that will take you to the Mapping Evil podcasts, where you can take advantage and get signed up for those. All righty, let's see here. So Janai B says, interestingly, a realtor friend told her that a recently sold may not show for 2 to 3 weeks. That's interesting. I don't know. I don't understand that world very well. It clearly states on the document that it sold on March 3rd of 2021. But again, it's not showing in the county assessor records at this point. So that's kind of interesting. Let me see. And, I don't know about you folks, but this, I see other YouTubers and they read through the questions and they take time. And I'm like, let's get in, let's get out, let's try to answer. So please forgive me, because I'm really trying to evolve and learn this process of YouTubing and just chatting with you. But let's see. Adrian Fontaine says, if the truck is gone, why aren't cops fine-tooth combing it? Too many women out here that are foul played. Why wouldn't they? You know what? I'm not going to suggest they haven't. Law enforcement hasn't done that. I think they have turned over all the stones they are aware of. But I've never had an investigation when it was over that I didn't go back after the fact and say, oh man, if I'd only thought about that or done this along the way. So Maui Swift, thank you. Sarah Smiles, thank you. Lil Red, I'm holding together, without the back office. It's always stressful. It's more stressful for them though, when I go rogue and just jump on and do something. So we'll see. Maybe the question should be, how are they doing? But now let's let's shift gears a little bit. I want to just mention on the West Boys, since we're talking, it's really interesting that Bakersfield has now taken over responsibility for the case. And if you watched Annie and 10 to Life when I was on a couple of days ago with her, I shared what my thoughts were on that. So please go back and watch that and certainly support her channel. But what I will just repeat is that there is a clear indication to me that there is something more significant about Bakersfield than the California City home as that responsibility shifts. Now, it might be, and probably in many cases, is that they have more resources, but California City had resources backing them up. They had the county backing them up. They had Bakersfield backing them up. They had the Bureau backing them up. They had a lot of folks in a bench, but it's only a 13 or 16 officer department. And this is a tremendous toll on a small agency. When I was in the Attorney General's office, we often stepped in to help smaller jurisdictions with investigations because there was a point when it just sometimes became too hard to continue doing business as usual, plus manage a major case like that. When I was running the Utah Criminal Tracking and Analysis Project, we were constantly going in and looking at unsolved homicides, missing person cases, or unidentified bodies to help out smaller jurisdictions, to give them just a little more of a bench to lean on. So in the West case, I think we're going to see some interesting things coming out of this change. The police department, Bakersfield police chief, was on yesterday on the news, and he spoke about the fact that he really is hoping the public will step up and share information regardless of the time of the last time they saw the little boys. And they're trying to put together a timeline to establish some things. They now have testimony that could be impeached based on people being able to come forward and say, hey, my Ring doorbell captured these kids out trick-or-treating or something else. So it's going to be really important that we see that happening. So I'll come back at another time. We'll talk more about the West kids. Again, I just don't want to spin it up that I think there's just a lot of folks chasing these stories and we just keep regurgitating the same information. But the thing that I thought was really important today is some changes in the Kelsey Schelling murder case, or the murder trial of Dante Lucas. Now, let me just, before I shift gears, I want to look and see if I've missed anything here. And to the mods, thank you so much. If there's something I'm missing, man, please find a way to tell me. But Barb Olstad, I enjoy collaborating with Annie. She's just great. And I don't know how many of you work with or watch John Lorden's stuff. John is just such a great guy. We're going to be doing some things. I just love the relationship I have with the other YouTubers. They are just so neat. And I just finished doing a podcast with Dr. Judy Ho, who was in the #1 Netflix series Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. And we spent a little more time diving into that. So watch for that podcast, that Profiling Evil podcast, coming up. And we'll continue to explore things as they come along. Let's see. Wilma Smith, thank you. I am doing well today. I got my first round of COVID shots. So 3 weeks, I'm going to be ready to start actually going to a restaurant once in a while. Mimi J2, I'm glad you're going rogue. Gets a little crazy here. Let's see. Okay, so Uh, Simon Walters, what's up with your camera? I have no idea what's up with my camera. You got to give me more than that. If it's the nightclub look behind me, talk to the back office. I just follow the rules and try to keep things going. So you're going to have to tell me what that means, and maybe I can answer. So here's what I want to switch to is I want to know how many of you are watching the Dante Lucas case at all. And what I want to do is just quickly jump to the Kelsey Schelling, Dante Lucas story map. And again, I keep pushing you to these story maps because they're the best place to answer most of the questions that I see you asking. So go to profilingevil.com. And there's a tab for story maps, and there you can get the different story maps. Now, this beautiful little girl disappeared 8 years ago, and she disappeared shortly after finding out she was pregnant. She went to meet the father of her baby and then mysteriously disappeared. So this story map will give you that story. It will give you the ability to go in and explore some maps, see the area that we're talking about, listen to previous broadcasts. And again, remember, these maps are built to be interactive. So you can zoom in on things, you can look at things in detail, you can grab content and find out what's in the content on these. And so you'll be able to go through this. But the important one to get you caught up is the courtroom drama that's going on. And there was a 2-week hiatus as they dealt with COVID in the courtroom. And now they're back convened and they're moving again. But here's the thing that is so important is yesterday, more reports and more information came out about the mysterious murder of a woman who was set to testify in the Dante Lucas murder trial. And as information unfolded and the DA said that this person was going to get on and testify that Dante witness told her that he had killed Kelsey, it became extremely important because what happened is she was murdered last week. And I want to switch over to a different screen here because today they announced who the suspect in that murder case is. And I wanted to share that with you. So let me just, there we go. Yep, we're up and running. So this is the fellow who is the prime suspect in the murder of Roxanne Martinez. She was set to testify against Dante Lucas for the murder of Kelsey and her baby, Emmanuel Chandler. And I just went back and I researched his criminal history. I just wanted you to know, I mean, these are tough characters. This guy was arrested in 2018 for felony menacing with a weapon, with possession of a weapon, felony child abuse, prohibited person with a weapon, being drunk with a weapon, reckless endangerment. And then we start looking at other things in his past, and he has had felony after felony, assault with a deadly weapon, robberies, and other cases. So this to me is going to be really critical. I don't know how many of you are watching the Kelsey Schelling case or following it or watching this trial on Dante Lucas. But I think it is one that's getting a lot of attention from very few people. But it is so important because I started off talking about Morphew, and I want to end by talking Dante Lucas, Kelsey Schelling, and Suzanne Morphew by saying that the DA in Pueblo has the courage to put on a circumstantial murder trial on Dante Lucas. This is risky and difficult to get reasonable doubt proof and convict someone of murder in a circumstantial case. But this is such an important case to watch, in my opinion, because I believe this is the kind of case we're going to see with the Suzanne Morphew case as this thing continues to unfold. And so I'd like to just ask all of you to kind of watch that, so that as we have more discussion in the future about Suzanne Morphew's case, if it ever comes to the point that Linda Stanley, the new district attorney in the 18th district, steps up and files charges, that you understand how complex a circumstantial case is. Go back and watch my video on the forms of evidence. And in that, we talk about there are four kinds of evidence: forensic evidence, blood spatters and fingerprints and stuff like that; physical evidence, the bullet casing at the crime scene, or the knife that's found in the bushes, or the stereo from the burglary that was pawned at the local pawn shop. So forensic, physical, then eyewitness. And, everybody thinks that eyewitness is the best. And frankly, while every investigator loves to have an eyewitness can be challenging and frustrating, because our eyewitness accounts are so influenced by our personal biases and experiences and other kinds of things. And then the fourth is circumstantial, the idea that it just makes sense that A plus B equals C, circumstantial. And then the one that I like to add, as one who has studied criminal behavior for most of my career, is the fact that we look at behavior as the fifth form of evidence to help us in understanding who is most likely responsible for a criminal event. So as you go back and look at some of my videos on any of these cases, you'll see that I'm constantly setting you up to make decisions based on those 5 forms of evidence. And it would be impractical, and I think impossible, to win a criminal case on one form of evidence. So the fact that they're putting a circumstantial case together in Pueblo, Colorado, or may put one together in Chaffee County, Colorado, requires more than just A plus B should equal C. Makes me feel right. There's going to be physical evidence, some eyewitness testimony, forensic. It's when multiple forms of evidence are brought together that we see convictions happen. And I think that is the good news of today as we look at Dante Lucas's case. Even now, with the loss of what sounds like a critical witness who was going to say, I heard him say he murdered her. This circumstantial case isn't built on just eyewitness testimony. It's got more behind it, and that is really empowering to all of us. So, folks, in conclusion today, my concluding comments are, I have great hope in these cases, even though they're unsolved, that law enforcement's continuing to work on them, that the cases are coming together in an orderly and efficient manner. While it may not be the fast pace that we would each like, it's coming together in a way that either a case that's based on circumstance or other forms of evidence backed by additional forms of evidence is possible in these cases. I think we're going to see it happen with Dante Lucas. I think we'll see it happen eventually with Suzanne Morphew's disappearance. And I think as law enforcement continues to unfold the events around the missing West children, that we're going to see it also happen there. I hope, if you're interested, that you'll consider channel memberships or our Patreon account or even PayPal. It is so helpful and helps me to continue to try to roll out quality content. And I want you to know, I really do appreciate your support. I try to read and I try to respond to as many of your comments as I can, but please know that I'm paying attention and trying to do things in a way that makes really good sense. I believe we're doing the right thing when we keep these cases in the public eye. And I disagree with some YouTubers who have taken my public CSI uh, tagline and called it crime scene investigation or community sourced investigation. Public CSI is community sourced intelligence. We need to collect as much information as we can and get it into the hands of law enforcement, the people with the authority to follow through these cases. As much as I'd like to dig into these cases, I am now a was. I'm no longer an is. And I, like you, am now part of this true crime community that looks for facts in hopes that I can help move these things forward. And the way we do it, frankly, you and me, is through social media and other forms of information sharing like that. So have a great day. Thanks so much for all your support. Watch us on Monday night. This is going to be a huge, huge show on Monday night choir practice. I'm going to have the former police commissioner from the city of Boston, who was the police commissioner when the Boston bombing occurred. Commissioner Davis is a longtime friend of mine, and he's going to come on and talk about what it's like to be a police commissioner in a major terroristic event. And in that same conversation, I'm going to have my good friend Michelle McPhee, who wrote the book Mayhem. It's the story of the Boston bombing and the fact that there is one suspect still missing that has not been arrested in that case, the bomb maker himself. And we're going to talk about that case. I'm going to have co-hosting with me Lieutenant Tommy Joyce, a longtime friend from the New York City Police Department. And I think it's going to be a really good choir practice. And it's choir practice. You can't miss choir practice. It's so much fun. So to all of you, thank you so much. Thank you for your support and all you do, and have a great Thursday night.